I'm Melissa Zelenak. I'm the host today for the Antrim Conservation District Stewardship Stories. And today we have with us Lindsay Mason. Lindsay, will you tell us about yourself?
Sure. I am a solid waste engineer. I am from Northern Michigan. I went to Michigan Tech, degree as an environmental engineer. Then after I graduated from Michigan Tech, I moved out to Hawaii. And I worked for an engineering firm out there for about 20 years. My specialty, solid waste engineering. I've done a lot of like landfill related projects, environmental landfill engineering, groundwater monitoring, subsurface landfill gas fire monitoring, which is pretty wild in Hawaii. Yep, done a lot of that. And then I've done a lot of integrated solid waste management planning, which is basically planning around solid waste and maximizing solid waste diversion. So about a year ago, I started working for a local engineering firm, and I got more involved in this materials management planning process, and which is very similar to the work I have done abroad on the Pacific Rim with integrated solid waste management planning with the Department of Defense. So I wanted to contribute to my community. So I've been working with Melissa here, and we have joined the Antrim County Materials Management Planning Committee. And then I'm also on the Village of Elk Rapids Materials Management Planning Committee. So just trying to volunteer and lend my area of expertise to the community. So Melissa and I wanted to kind of put together a little talk today about what it means. What does this materials management planning and solid waste planning mean for our community in Antrim County and elsewhere, the entire region? So that's kind of my background and what I wanted to talk about today. So.
Well, Lindsay, you certainly have your finger on the pulse of garbage in our area and around the country, that's for sure. So, some history on the materials management plan for our listeners. Was back in 2024 and maybe a little bit sooner that the state of Michigan came out with a mandate that directed counties to ditch their old solid waste plans and now turn them into the new materials management plan with lofty goals of saving billions of dollars of waste that would go into the garbage. Instead, we want to get it back into circulation. So every county in Michigan is working on a plan. Some counties have joined with other counties. Antrim County has stayed solo, which I'm okay with that. And so Lindsay and I sit on this committee of 7 or 9, I think it is, built of people from around the community in different areas of professional development or commercial type stuff. So again, we're here to tell you all about it.
Yeah. So the old solid waste management plans that each county would have to do were really focused on, okay, this is
Garbage.
how much trash we're all generating. This is the landfill we're taking it to. How much life is in that landfill? And, maybe there are some other initiatives, like maybe some communities would be more, kind of forward thinking on recycling, composting, those sorts of things. But this is really supposed to stretch everybody's thinking to really look towards diverting waste from the landfill and really the idea of a circular economy and getting things back into use. There are end user markets in Michigan, and these industries don't get enough of our recyclables, which is really sad. I mean, they have to go out and source. They want it. So the purpose of this is really to build up that recycling industry. I think it's important to note that back in 2017, the recycling markets crashed hard. So there used to be a lot of money involved in recycling, which made it really economically viable. But then China stopped taking our recyclable materials, and it just crashed. So that's what's made it really hard. Economically viable, right? For like communities to sustain these programs because there's not a whole lot of money in it anymore. But I think the idea here is to build that up in our community. So there are outlets and there is value for these recyclable materials, right? So there are communities in our area, like Emmett County, that has a very robust, self-sustaining recycling program. So it's not impossible. We just need to organize and really think through as a community how we're going to do it in the most economically viable way that we possibly can. So that's kind of the purpose of this and the reason why we need to have dialogue about it.
A lot of dialogue. I just want to touch it, pardon me, real quick on that recycling crash. Up here in northern Michigan, and, for our area, we're fortunate that most of the stuff that we collect will stay in our Midwest area. What happens, a lot of confusion for folks is if they live on the far West Coast or the far East Coast, they're all convinced that all the recycling is going into the trash, so why should I bother to do it anyways? Mm-hmm. And that's likely true because of the contamination rate. We sent China such crappy crap that they couldn't take it.
Yeah.
And a lot of that stuff is in our ocean, okay? So let me put the big boom boom on that. So why do we want to recycle? To save our planet, really. But in Michigan and where we are in Antrim County, most of our stuff will get reused because the state of Michigan has made, and the people in our area have made those connections that you alluded to sell that product. Yeah. Now, the old solid waste plans, like you said, all that was what do we do with our garbage?
Yeah.
There were very few that had any vision that said, hey, we're going to compost. It was like, okay, we're going to sell our garbage to another county. Thanks, bye. So moving forward, the state's goal, if I remember correctly, it was $600 billion that could be recovered. Maybe it's I know it's 600.
I don't know, like monetary wise. I mean, I have like the percentages here.
They did in the course of all these things that we went through, they had I remember, it probably was 600 million.
Yeah.
But $600 million annually that we're throwing away. Imagine that.
I remember
back to use.
Yes. I mean, it's ridiculous, especially with food waste. I mean, and I think it's worth noting too, a lot of this materials management planning, and as well as the integrated solid waste management planning that I've done in the past, it's education. It's getting into the schools. Yep. It's getting into the community, talking to them about buying food, using food, being involved in like locally our food rescue programs. Really being thoughtful about what you're buying, having your little backyard composter. I mean, I have that. I mean, for those of you that have a backyard where you can do that, do it.
That's what one of our goals at the district is to encourage people. I firmly believe that if we reach the kids, they'll carry the habit of recycling and composting. So it all starts at your own home. Mm-hmm. We're not going out to try to get Antrim County the government, to suddenly recycle.
Right.
If we can just get you to do it in your home and other people, that's where it starts.
And it can be like ACD, doing these little clinics on how to do backyard composting on a Saturday or something, or like I took a class more recently with Seeds about these food audit programs in schools. And those are so cool because even just going in to school lunch programs and you have these auditors that go in and they talk to the kids about the food. Okay, you're throwing that whole
apple
you took
away.
you took one bite out of the apple and you threw it away. You didn't eat your green beans. Why? And they talk to them about it, and then they relay the information back to the lunch people. And then the kids, like even just the kids' knowledge of that reduced the waste because they
Right.
won't take as much
Right.
when
Right.
they're aware. I mean, just doing the audits themselves reduced it. I think, this is off the top of my head. I think it was like 10% or something,
Right.
which is
Right.
substantial.
It's the awareness and the education and engaging the youth.
Yes. And it's, you don't have to do it every day. You can do
Right.
it 3 times a year, and just having that dialogue, whether it be with the lunch people and with the kids, and having everybody being aware. And then it also can set the stage. You get the data in order to implement other programs. Like, let's say you want to do a bulk food composting program through the school. You'll have some of that data there that'll be useful in implementing those programs going forward. So, I mean, those are the kind of things that I want to see in the plan, that I get excited about, because I think that's where these changes are going to help change hearts and minds and really make a difference in our communities.
Totally. So Lindsay mentioned the plan. The plan that we're working on is called the Materials Management Plan.
Mm-hmm.
Replacing the old solid waste plan that pretty much just sat on people's shelves and didn't do anything. So Lindsay and I and others that we know are on this committee, and we are highly dedicated to making a plan that we will actually use.
Yeah.
That will have impact and make a difference in our county.
Mm-hmm.
So as Lindsay alluded to, composting. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Antrim County can do everything that Emmett County is doing on a smaller scale. I've probably veered off of our notes a little bit.
No,
but,
I just kind of wrote stuff down here. So I was just going to say, for composting, I went to a composting seminar during the most recent MRC conference. There's
right on, cool.
There's a conference that they hold for recycling.
The Michigan Recycling Coalition's conference,
every year. So I went to that. And, you know, they want to see a 50% reduction by 2030. And so an estimated 24% of Michigan's municipal solid waste, that's just waste that it's called MSW, it's whatever we all just throw in the trash, is food waste. So if 24%, and I think what's also really important about food waste is that it decomposes and makes it, when you put that into a landfill, you put that in there and it goes into what's called an anaerobic decomposition. That's where it's decomposing without air. And that creates methane gas, which is a very strong greenhouse gas. So because this is all organic material and it's going into the landfill, it's stuck there forever, number one, and it's stuck there creating greenhouse gases like forever. So I think that is another thing, you know, about that. Like, we could not put it in there and it can be used in our gardens. It could be, you know, if you want to participate in a larger program, like in our area, we have like Carter's compost or, you know, something like that. You can subscribe to that, whatever you want to do. But then, you know, you can buy the compost back, or somebody's going to use it on their garden instead of being stuck in the landfill forever. And even if you wanted to get it out of there, it'll be contaminated and
forever.
Yes. I mean, it's just so unsustainable, and it's such a waste. It's trapped. You're taking perfectly good organic material and trapping it in a sludgy, toxic pit forever. So
that is really pure gold. If it's composted and turn it into something, it has a high value that we want to have. We don't want anything.
You put it in the landfill,
going to the landfill.
You ruin it forever.
We did some demonstrations here some years ago and showed people the difference between recycling, when you recycle, how much you actually throw away. Mm-hmm. And we had a small little bag that we would actually take to the bin or to the garbage, you know, like maybe a lunch bag, but we would have a giant trash bag full of recycling.
Yeah.
So that's the goal for all of us to get to, especially here in Antrim County.
Yeah.
I mean, we need a lot of people to engage and make an impact and cause this plan to work and be effective.
Yeah. And then there are a lot of different ways, you can incentivize like pay as you throw programs where, you only pay what goes to the landfill. Everything else, like whatever you're composting, whatever you're recycling, you don't pay for. So it really incentivizes people to minimize what goes in the trash. So you're maximizing your waste diversion. Those kind of incentivized programs are common in a lot of places. Those are things that we can look at. Before I forget, I want to mention that Antrim County is putting out questionnaires for businesses, government entities, and for just residents, whether you're here seasonally or visiting even. I mean, they even have, like, even if you're just here on vacation and just happen to be listening to this, they even want you to fill it out for that if you're interested in it, just to see what your input is. And
so in this podcast, we'll include our notes from today, and then we'll have some links to those surveys so folks can go right on and answer those. They're very short. They're not, rocket science.
Yeah.
Just answer quickly and help people know. Those will help the decision makers who are working on the plan make better decisions.
Yeah. I think it's important to note too, with this materials management planning, I mean, when you think of all the waste that we generate as a society, you start thinking about it. It's mattresses, it's appliances,
Tires,
it's green waste, it's yard clippings, it's so it just goes on and on and on. And I want to see this plan address everything. I want it to be holistic. And I'm going to be a stickler about it. I mean, that's why I joined the committee.
As you should be.
I'm going to be,
right.
I think it's also good to note that we've hired somebody to actually write the plan. So Melissa and I are basically sitting there giving our input.
We're on the committee at Networks North.
Approve it. Yes.
The group that we've contracted is Networks Northwest in Traverse City. Matt Cook is our guy helping us with that. And they will develop the plan through the input of the committee.
Yeah.
But everybody on the committee, we're all community members and we're talking to people. So it's a really collaborative and casual and personable kind of group trying to do a good thing.
And it's pretty cool because we have a lot of different viewpoints on there, which I think is good. I mean, it maybe initially could be hard to get everybody on the same page, but I think ultimately it's really important to have different perspectives.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can come at it from more of a technical feasibility perspective. You can come at it from that same because you have been managing this program for Antrim County, which is so important. And you know the ins and outs and kind of the feasibility of what makes sense for
we could open a store with all the crap we pick up from recycling sites. Yeah. Seriously. I mean, we could have a store. Xander just picked up a treadmill yesterday. So let me give that quick PSA for everyone.
Yeah.
If it's when you go to the big red bins, or some people have green, there's a sticker on it that says everything that you can put in it. If it's not on that sticker, don't put it in the bin. Don't leave it laying around the bin. Don't put it behind the bin. Don't throw it in the bin. Just don't. It's garbage. It needs to go somewhere else. So that's my quick PSA because
it really messes with the program.
It does.
It's a hindrance.
It can endanger some.
Yes.
Some municipalities are pretty bummed out when they have to pick up crap like that.
Right. It's putting a burden.
And ultimately it costs us because we are paying for someone else's garbage.
Yes.
To be disposed of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty
frustrating.
It is.
But on the other hand, we have lots of people, let me do another real quick PSA. And that would be to encourage folks to break down their boxes. That's probably our number one complaint we get from folks is the bins are full, the bins are full, the bins are full. Well, when you go and look, there's a whole bunch of boxes that take up a lot more space than a flat box does.
Yeah.
So those are the things that we want to encourage folks to do too.
Yeah.
So comments like those, the little things are important, but overall the scope of the big plan, Lindsay's going to be doing amazing work in that in regard to her experience in that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping to be able to work with the contractor to really make sure that it's covering everything that we want to see, just because I have worked on these plans so much in the past. I know what goes into it. I think it's important to note that it's really, we need good data going into this. And if we don't have good data, that's going to have to be a huge recommendation of the plan, is to get good data coming at us, find a way to get that.
We've got to have a starting point.
Yes. And so we can have a really good starting point going forward. Yeah. So I will have I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be,
it might be corny, but it's cool. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know. Everybody jokes.
We've got a good group. I don't recall everybody that's on the committee, but I know that they're from vast different areas, from composting to village government, me and you, haulers, everybody. Yep. So it's going to be an exciting thing as we move forward with this. And again, the end game is for me, my first thought is to save the environment. My second thought is to save money.
Yeah.
That's the gist of it. If any government's going to give a care, it should be about the money.
Exactly.
But for me, it's the environment. Plastic never goes away.
Yeah.
Ever.
I know. And with our natural resources that we have, it's essential that we preserve that. And we need to be
plastic in all our water.
Yeah.
There's yucky stuff in the fish, there's things that if we recycled, we may not have these challenges.
Yeah. And where there's a will, there's a way. I mean, it's crazy just all the work I've done in Japan, working on, because I've done these plans for DoD bases in Japan. But for us, our American bases situated in Japan, our culture of dealing with waste is so different from theirs, because they only landfill about 15% of their waste, because they have...
What's America? What does America throw away?
It's because they have what's called extended producer responsibility,
which we don't yet.
Which is and it's really interesting, because there it's like if you buy a TV or a pop or whatever, you're gonna, when you take that back, and they have to recycle that.
Let's expound on that a little bit so listeners know what that is. That's been a hot topic at the last two recycling conferences.
And I think there are some initiatives happening.
I think Colorado is doing something cool about it. So tell us what that is, Lindsay.
So basically, it's called extended producer responsibility, and it's where the manufacturer wraps into the cost of the product recycling. So when you buy it, you're basically, and then it's disposal or recycling is wrapped into the cost of that. So they have to take it back and recycle it. It's mandated, usually by a regulation, like a law. And it's usually done, on a state level. I know in Hawaii, because that's where the bulk of my career has been. They have extended producer responsibility for electronics, and how they've done it is that they have all of the electronics sales manufacturers, whatever, have gotten together and contracted with a few companies in Hawaii, and they just are responsible for, per the state legislation, for getting back a certain number of pounds of electronics per year. So that can be any electronics. It doesn't have to be a certain make, manufacturer. It could be a 1987 VCR. It can be whatever.
The goal is to just get it returned.
Just getting it.
To get it back rather than throwing it away.
Yeah, they want it out of their landfills. And as you can imagine, in that situation, it's just hard because it's an island situation, right? So they just want it all returned it's free. You're a resident, you just drop it off, and they want it because per the law, they have to get that number of pounds back or else they get fined. So
the
they've
law is going to help the consumer.
Yeah. And it's free
and
to the consumer
environment.
Yes. And and the legislation
might not be something that every vendor wants to deal with right now, but when I think about it, I remember back in the day, I'm an old gal here, so remember cereal used to come in these giant boxes or chips in these huge bags, but there's really only like a quarter of the bag of chips. So I think that is kind of having an effect, and that people are using smaller packages, which makes less waste. But I hope that this happens in Michigan someday within the next maybe 5 years would be dreamy. Just so people don't think about what they do with their trash. They buy it and then they're like, oh my God, what am I going to do with this 60-inch TV in 2 years when it's broken?
Right. So other places it's like, it's easy. You just drop it back off and then it gets recycled. They have to recycle it. So I think it's important. And I think it's important for us to, the cost gets passed down to the, owner, the consumer, of course, which people have a problem with, but we need to
we've got to stop. We've got to not be the nation that keeps throwing stuff away all the time. We only have so much land space, and
these TVs are so cheap and ridiculous. Come on.
Well, they don't make stuff like they used to. Like in my dad's garage is still the refrigerator that's been there for 50 years.
I know.
But in my house, I got a piece of crap one that I'm going to have to throw away after 5 years.
I know. My house in Elk Rapids, I have this old. I just don't want to get rid of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's probably from like the 70s. Like, oh, I don't want to get rid of it because it's going to I'll buy a new one and it'll break in like 3 years.
I think for us, as the district and you and I being on this materials management committee, if the thing that we can do, the most important thing we can do is to get people, one, to even recycle. Because that's still a big barrier. We've got a lot of people that just don't recycle. They don't think about it. They don't realize why it's important. It's like, well, it's garbage. I'm like, dude, you're throwing money away.
Well, part of this, part of the, I think we should, put on, I think we should put this on the, like some of these Eagle handouts on the podcast so people can.
Lindsay will share some facts.
Yes, I'll
give us some numbers.
Handouts. But like some of the goals of this MMP stuff is like some of these benchmark recycling standards that they want to implement, and they're really trying to push curbside recycling for communities. And that really, it does make it really easy. Like communities over, what was it, like over 5,000 or something? So like, I think some of those, those are some hefty goals. I think it'll be fun to see those, making sure that there's accessibility for everybody and that people have the opportunity to participate if they want to, and the education. And that's another thing, like, getting in those schools, your kid comes home and is like, we're not recycling. We need to recycle. That's going to push parents to do that, and make
the kid becomes the teacher.
Exactly. And having those recycling programs in school and them being a part of that and schools participating in recycling, and it's, recycling clubs, there's so many fun things you can do. So I think that I'm going to be looking for that in our plan, like ideas, getting, talking to principals throughout the county, seeing who's wants to be involved, a program to get them involved.
It's exciting times.
Yeah.
It's a giant job. We're not going to joke anybody here. It's not overnight poof. We're going to make it happen, but
it's take time.
In 5 years, let's dream. Let's just dream. In 5 years, what would Melissa like to see? I'd like to see a ding dang compost
Yes.
facility in Antrim
Yes.
County where people can drop off their yard waste,
Yep.
their clippings,
Yep.
their food,
Yep.
their scraps. Really dreaming big, I'd like to see a company go around and pick them up in the various villages.
For sure.
That could happen. I mean, if we had somebody here in Bel Air that was picking up from Shorts or Corbett's or Shanny or whatever, cha-ching.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, totally.
I know. Maybe the district will buy a van and pick stuff. I'm joking, but why not?
Hey, it could happen. That's what Emmett County does. They have their thing, and they have people that subscribe to the service, and then you go. You need compost for your garden. You go. It's cheap.
Yep.
You pick it up. Boom.
I've always said there's money in garbage. If I was a young person, I'd be investing in garbage and pine trees right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
We're going to do good things with this plan.
I know.
And I'm very grateful that you joined us today.
Well, thank you.
Do you have any closing comments? This won't be the last time you and I do a podcast together.
We definitely have to do this regularly.
We will.
This is going to progress too. This is going to progress. We're going to need to keep everybody
What's your
informed.
5-year dream? What do you want to see happen in Antrim County in 5 years? I know you want to do the compost.
I mean, certainly
too.
composting. That's huge. I want to see something like Emmett County.
Oh yeah.
I want to see, I don't know about
like a mini version,
but I want to see our own sustainable, where we know where everything's going. We are plucking every last little recyclable out of there. And we just have this little pile of waste that goes to the dump. And then everything else, we are maximizing it, and we are controlling everything.
I totally agree.
That's 100%. What I want. That's
Let me give a fast plug for Green for Life. I mean, they've been good to us. Kudos to Mark. Whenever I've asked for help, he's always given it,
For sure.
They're peaked out in capacity. They're having a tough time getting drivers and things like that. So we do have some softness in our heart for them, but we couldn't do it without them.
No, right.
Emmett County, they're the model that we all want. I mean, they're the model for the state.
Well,
everybody looks to them.
I think it can be some sort of public-private venture. I don't think it has to be. I don't think GFL can't be involved in that. I think it would have to be some sort of public-private venture. I mean, gosh, you look at what they just did in City of Traverse City with their composting equipment. That was a total public-private venture. That was the city wanting the initiative. That was Seeds finding the grant money. That was Carter's operating it. So let's do something like that. It doesn't have to be the county doing everything. I think we can work with other entities to make it happen. The less
the county has to do, the better.
Exactly.
I'm sure that's what they would support, and having us help with that plan, I feel is a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I look forward to working with everybody, and if anybody sees this podcast and wants to reach out, get a hold of Melissa, and she can get everybody my information. So
all right, we will list all of these things we talked about today, our notes, and a couple of links to the survey. And we thank every one of our listeners at the ACD Stewardship Stories, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Melissa.